Just imagine this for a moment. What if a shark passed directly beneath the boat you're on, and it was as big as a whale? Just thinking about it is enough to send a chill down your spine. So today, let's take a closer look, together, at the life of one of the largest sharks ever, Megalodon. Megalodon lived from about 23 million to 3.6 million years ago, spanning the Miocene through the Pliocene of the Neogene period. It's considered one of the largest sharks ever, not by hype, but because the fossils we've found are simply on a different scale. And the most famous of all are its teeth. Some can grow over 18 centimeters long, big enough to spill right out of the palm of your hand. So why do we find so many Megalodon teeth in the first place? Sharks are built mostly from cartilage, not hard bone, so their skeletons don't fossilize easily. Teeth are a different story. They're tough, they preserve well, and sharks replace them throughout their lives. In other words, Megalodon spent its lifetime leaving behind giant teeth like dropped belongings, by the thousands. Even its lost and found is on an absurd scale. Now, here's the big question: just how large was it? Estimates vary, but Megalodon is often said to have reached around 15 to 20 meters in length. And 20 meters is roughly the length of several buses lined up. At that point, it doesn't feel like a shark anymore, it's more like a moving wall in the ocean. What really defines Megalodon's terror is its bite force. To put it in perspective, a human bite is roughly around 50 kilograms of force. A lion is estimated at around 400 kilograms. A great white shark. At the very top end, it may reach close to 2 tons. That's already terrifying. Yet Megalodon is thought to be in another league entirely, with estimates around 10 to 20 tons. So it wasn't just that the teeth were bigger. The whole world of bite force was on a completely different level. So what did a creature that terrifying actually eat? It's thought to have preyed mainly on smaller whales, along with seals and sea turtles. With that kind of size, and that kind of bite, it's easy to see how it could rule the ocean. And if I could time travel back to that sea, I can tell you this: I wouldn't take a single step past the shoreline. Now, let's get to the what if scenario everyone loves. If Megalodon went up against other heavyweight predators, who would win? First, a great white shark. In that matchup, the answer is pretty straightforward: Megalodon. The gap in both size and bite force is simply too big. Next, orca. If it's one-on-one, I'd still give the edge to Megalodon. But the moment it becomes a pod, the story changes. Orcas are smart, coordinated, and they fight as a team, so in a group, they'd have a real shot at taking the win. There's even a hypothesis that pack-hunting whales, or orca-like relatives, may have been serious rivals, and could have targeted younger megalodons. And if we're talking about a truly large whale, that's harder to call. One thing's for sure, though, neither side would walk away unscathed. So if you actually ran into Megalodon, could you escape? Some estimates suggest it cruised at around 2 to 5 kilometers per hour, which sounds surprisingly slow for something that massive. Now compare that to a human in the water. Most people swim at roughly 2 to 3 kilometers per hour. Push yourself to an all-out freestyle sprint and you might hit around 6 kilometers per hour, so if you went full speed, you might have a chance. But there's a catch: that only works if you can keep it up long enough to reach shore. So the real conclusion is simple. The safest way to survive an encounter is not to have one in the first place, meaning, don't get too close to the ocean to begin with. So if Megalodon was such a powerhouse, why did it go extinct? One leading idea is that the oceans cooled and the environment changed, shifting where its prey lived and how much of it was available. When food becomes scarcer, or starts migrating farther away, keeping a body that enormous becomes a serious problem. In other words, size is a huge advantage, right up until it isn't. The bigger the predator, the bigger the grocery bill, and the ocean can be brutally unforgiving. And finally, let's talk about the idea that maybe Megalodon is still out there somewhere. As of today, there's no solid evidence for it. But the ocean is still full of unknowns. We've only explored and truly understood a small fraction of it, just a few percent. It's vast, it's dark, and it's deep. So did Megalodon really disappear completely? Maybe the only thing that knows for sure is the sea itself. And with that, I'll see you again in the next one.